There's Terry, Trip, and Amelia.
Hello.
And it's way too early.
Yeah, it's way too early, but we are now on our way to the
Parties.
no.
To the airport.
The problem with Hardee's is you eat a big Hardee's breakfast on the first climb.
You gonna see it again?
Yeah, it wants to come up for air. But, so we're on our way to the trailhead. What a glorious morning. Day 2 on the Pinhoti. And the question for today is, does the gear make the trip? And on this trip, I was very deliberate about the gear I chose. And in fact, today I'm going to be using some new gear. So follow along, and I've got some thoughts on it, and I'll show you what I'm doing. We're on about a 3-mile road walk. Then we get back in the woods. Or we think it's 3 miles. It's not more than 3 miles. We were just mentioning that after yesterday being such a gray winter day, that all this sunshine sort of lifts your spirits. It's a good day. Going to Bull's Gap today. 11 miles to go. That's not so bad. Climbing up Rebecca Mountain. It's a sustained climb, but it's nothing compared to doing Terrapin yesterday. Ooh, that climb. But there's going to be a view at the top. Climbing up Rebecca, we have a view into Sylacauga, and with the naked eye you can see it pretty easily, but with the camera I had to zoom in pretty far to get that little bit of a view. All that white that you see is Sylacauga. So if you watch my channel, you know that I'm diabetic and I have some dietary limitations. So some of my meals are different. I mean, some of it's very typical hiker food, but some of it's kind of different. So today at lunch, I've been having some pepper jack cheese and some peanut butter. And I'm having this today because this stuff is heavy and I want it gone from my pack. Also, of course, the cheese has no carbs, and the peanut butter has not many, so it means I'm not even going to take a shot of insulin. So I can eat this and get back on trail and get some of this heavy mess out of my pack. On today's question of does the gear make the trip, I have some thoughts on it. But I will say that this trip is different than a lot of the trips that I do, because most of the trips I do are just weekend warrior stuff, and it basically doesn't matter what I carry. I can carry a lot of extra stuff. I can carry a lot of some heavier stuff, but because I'm not doing a lot of miles, it doesn't really matter. On this trip, this is 6.5 days, so we will finish on the 7th day, and we're doing close to 100 miles. So I was very strategic about how I packed for this trip. I'm carrying all of my lightest gear, and I'm not bringing much in the way of luxury items, because with the kind of mileage that we're doing, and I guess also with my fitness level, by the time we get to camp, I'm done. I'm going to set up camp and either immediately lay down and eat later, or go ahead and eat and then go lay down, because I'm essentially done. So in the question, does the gear make the trip? The answer is maybe, possibly. On this particular trip, if I had brought some of my heavier, more budget-friendly gear, then I would probably be uncomfortable, or just frankly not able to do the kind of mileage that we're doing, because my pack would weigh more. So on some of my short trips, does the gear make those trips? Well, if I were carrying this load for some of those short trips, I'd probably be uncomfortable, because I'm not doing a lot of miles and I don't have the luxury gear or luxury items that I would like to have in camp. And so in one sense, I guess the gear does help make the trip. But what you have to ask yourself is, why are you here? Am I here just to experience gear? Well, no, that's not why I'm here. I'm here to hike, and I'm here to enjoy nature and all this around me. Wow, this is a really cool ridge we're on. Drops off over there, and if I turn around, same thing on the other side. It drops off, and there's a ridge back there. This is cool, and I'm missing it because I'm talking to you. Oh well. So I'm out here to enjoy nature and enjoy the woods and enjoy the mountains. I'm not out here to enjoy gear. But having the right gear for the right circumstances and the right gear for the right trip, I think it does matter. But is the gear make or break for the trip? I don't think so. I think I could do this trip, or a trip similar to it, with some of my other gear that's heavier, more budget friendly, and still enjoy the trip. May not be able to do as many miles, but would I still come out here and enjoy this? Yeah, I think I would. So those are my thoughts on whether the gear makes the trip. Stick around, and when I get in camp, I'll show you the gear that I did choose for this trip. And also I have just a handful of some new things that I've never used before that I did bring on this trip. More views off in the distance. The mountains over here, and that ridge is where we'll be tomorrow. It's getting pretty late in the day, and a weird thing happened today. We got to the campsite that we were gonna be at, but it was too rocky for trekking pole tents, and so we were not able to set up. So we just had to move on to where we are, and we found one spot that put us directly on top of each other. All right, so
Hobo camp.
yeah, exactly. So I said that I would show some of my gear that I brought with me and kind of give the rationale behind some of it. Basically, because I'm doing this trip, it's 100 miles. This is not just a weekend kind of getaway. I did this so that I brought the lightest stuff that I had. And when I weighed my gear, my base weight, so that's everything minus consumables like toilet paper, fuel, and water, and food. So minus those things, I was at about 15 pounds. And I just did not bring a lot in the way of luxury items. I don't have a chair, which I normally bring. So I'm about to sit down in my tent and cook supper, but that's fine by me because it's late. I I do have some more budget, heavier items. Did not bring those on this trip, even though that budget tent would have been perfect up there where I couldn't set up a trekking pole tent. So everything is a trade-off. You know, there are pros and cons. This tent is a trekking pole tent, is significantly lighter, but there was that place where I couldn't set up. So, you know, you just sort of have to have some trade-offs. So instead of my more budget backpack, I brought the Z-Packs. It's an ultralight backpack. These things weigh so little, but I just needed, for the kind of mileage we're doing and the number of days we're going to be out, I just needed to reduce the weight as much as I could. Okay, so that's basically the end of tonight. About to cook supper and go to bed. I'll see you tomorrow morning.